James, congratulations on the film and congratulations on your performance. I mean, they're both incredibly moving. Now, the story about John and his little boy Michael is actually based on a true story. And I wondered if that was part of the appeal of the project for you.
Yeah, it's always interesting playing real people. You always have a responsibility to the subject matter and the memory of that person, if whether they're alive or not, they're not with us anymore. You know, it always adds a certain, not pressure, but there's a commitment to the work, I think, when you are playing someone who has existed and it's in their memory. Particularly this story, because it is so inherently profound and moving, and the father who the story is based on isn't with us anymore, because, you know, the nature of the story is he only had a few months to live. And Uberto did reach out to the social services who had dealt with that particular case, and they weren't able to give us much more than just what was in the newspaper article that it's based on. We weren't able to reach out to the young son, who's now probably a grown adult, but yeah, it certainly does, it doesn't underpin the story, and it just makes what is already a very moving, profound story into something even more hard-hitting, I guess. Yeah.
And so many of the scenes are essentially two-handers between yourself and Daniel Lamont, who plays your son. I wondered how much of what we see is actually sort of improvised and spontaneous, because it certainly looks like it. I mean, I was thinking about those scenes in the park, particularly where you get ice cream all over your face.
So that was in the script, but the wonderful thing about working with a child actor, and this is the thing, you know, when you work with children or animals, it can be disastrous, it can be brilliant. And the thing with Daniel is, it was wonderful, and the reason is, you know, whether it was in the script or whether it was improvised, every single thing I got from him was truthful. And so when he was asked to put the ice cream in my face, he loved that. He was thrilled about the idea of putting an ice cream in my face. And, you know, I had this little boy up top who was given license to do this thing. He was on my shoulders at the time. So yeah, I mean, it was wonderful. You know, he gave me something to react to, which was pure and honest, and that's all you can hope for in a scene partner. You know, if you're working with an actor who's your own age, you're aware that person is performing, and so there is always this little voice in your head going, well, you are, this is not truth, but you're trying to get as close to truth as you possibly can. When you've got a 4-year-old in real time learning about death, you know, I'm reading a book to him about where dinosaurs go to die, and both Michael the character and Daniel the actor in real time are for the first time learning about the concepts of dying. It is as truthful as it gets. And so I was regularly deeply moved by what I was experiencing, big brown eyes looking up at me. And I sobbed my eyes out for a lot of it. I mean, Uberto, who really wanted to create a very contained, sort of restrained, reflective film, regularly had to come over and say, we need one where you're not crying, because we know there's a stoicism in this man. We need to have that strength. So yeah, I've never really had an experience like it on a film set.
So having created such a close bond with Daniel, what was it like when the shoot was over and you had to say goodbye?
Yeah, it was hard. I mean, it's always hard leaving a film shoot, because, you know, this was a perfect example of what happens when, in order to make the movie work, we needed trust. We needed him to trust me. We needed to trust the process. We needed to trust Uberto. So in order to do that, we needed to find a very, very real, genuine relationship. And we did. I went to his house loads. I played with him in his, played in his garden and the toys. I regressed to being a 4-year-old, and it was really fun. And with his sister Erin, his parents, Kasha and Jeffrey. And so we built what was genuinely a real affectionate relationship, you know. And that's what was required when you're performing opposite someone. You know, you have to. It's a kind of beautiful part of my job is that what would usually take 3 years in an office environment takes 2 days, 3 days, because in order to be able to grab someone, pick them up, put them on your shoulders, or argue with them, or fight them, or, you know, make love to them, you have to break all boundaries really quickly and find trust. Daniel and I found trust and affection, and real genuine affection, very quickly. The problem with that is at the end of the shoot you have to say goodbye, and it's hard, you know. I got really close to the family, and luckily we stayed in touch. We call each other, we send little videos. We went to Venice, which was wonderful. They'd never been to a film festival, they'd never been to Venice, and we were able to share that magical experience with them. So I think I'm going to stay in Daniel's life and in the family's life, but it's tough when you have to leave.
Yeah, it must be. It must be. The film's set in Belfast. Now, Daniel comes from Ballymena, so he's kind of got the accent, but it was something you had to acquire. How did you go about that? Because it's quite a distinctive accent, and it's one that's really easy to sound like a parody if you're not careful.
Yeah, and I was very, very aware of that, particularly as the whole crew were from Northern Ireland. And so I was kind of, other than Uberto...
No pressure then.
Exactly, huge pressure. You know, I was aware of the responsibility I had. It was really just me and, you know, Daniel and I throughout the movie. There was nowhere to hide. So there was there's no way I could have kind of cut corners of the accent. Weirdly enough, when I was at drama school years ago, I had spent quite a lot of time, I'd just been drawn to it and wanted to nail it. And so I did a lot of work on the Northern Irish accent without a role to prepare for, just because I wanted to. And so it was already the back of my mind, and I was quite excited to be able to, you know, let that work be used. And then I had an amazing dialect coach called Brendan Gunn, who's such a character. He's the go-to guy in Belfast. He's this fiddle player who, in between, you know, playing in the local bar, plays fiddle, he'll come and help you with his accent, and he just works wonders. So I love the Northern Irish accent. I love accents in general. They're a real crutch in that kind of transformative journey. They really allow you that bridge between yourself and the character, and if it goes well, then someone's honking on. If you can nail the accent, then it can be really rewarding. And this particular accent, I mean, it was a challenge and I was scared, but it paid off.